great show last week, mate. Loads of great comments.
I know. I mean, look at this one. Great show. Nicely Barry from EastEnders getting work.
Yeah, mind you, I've got one. Great show, but why is the Milky Bar Kid reading the news?
Oh, that's charming, that is. Mind you, looks like the student's well liked. Look at this. The student is brilliant.
Yeah, I've got loads for the student as well. Student is gorgeous. I want to marry him.
I don't know about that. But what about this one? Student equals genius.
Blimey. Hey, student, you're a hit.
Standard.
It's issue 2 of Cat's Whiskers TV. Tonight's show, we're going to be looking back at the games at the weekend between Hull and Dundee. We'll also be looking forward to the Belfast weekend, and we've got a very special interview with Panthers assistant coach Rick Strachan. But first, it's over to Paul Balm with the news.
I'm Paul Balm and this is the news. GB's under-20 coach reveals unorthodox training methods. Farmer chooses wrong opponent in his quest to win a fight. New brand of hockey thrills Sheffield crowd. And that was the news.
I'm now joined by this week's guest, my Block 13 colleague and long-standing and long-suffering Panthers fan, Adam Reddish. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Jono. Very well.
Thanks for joining us tonight. So, a few questions about you being a Panthers fan, so everyone out there can get to know you a little bit better. How long have you been watching the team?
My first game at the old ice rink was, I think, 93-94 season. So that's quite a while ago now, nearly 20 years.
Yeah. You say it was at the old ice rink. What do you think are the main differences between the old place and the NIC?
Undoubtedly, the atmosphere. The fact that you could create such a real fervent atmosphere in the old ice rink was fantastic. I mean, the old barn really is irreplaceable. As nice as the NIC is, I just don't think it's got that rawness really that we came to love from the old barn. So sadly, it's no longer with us, but we've got a nice arena facility instead.
We certainly have, but yeah, I certainly miss the atmosphere at the old rink myself. Any favourite games, any games that really stand out over your time watching the Panthers?
Well, the B&H semi against Manchester in 98-99 was absolutely astonishing, and I refer you back to the atmosphere issue. I mean, the noise that was generated that night was unbelievable. I don't think I've ever heard anything quite like that before from such a passionate Panthers team and set of fans. So, but more recently, I would say that the 2003-2004 Challenge Cup win at Sheffield was pretty special as well, given that it ended quite a barren run of years and seasons without a trophy, and given that it was on Sheffield's ice, made it feel all the better as well.
Well, you can't beat beating Sheffield in Sheffield, can you?
Not at all.
Okay. Final question: your favourite ever Panthers player?
I think it would have to be Randall Webber over the years. I mean, there's a guy who was the absolute consummate professional and kept reinventing himself. Obviously scored lots and lots of points earlier on in his Panthers career, but kind of redefined his game as his years went on and as he progressed more into his career, and obviously he managed to see a few seasons in the arena, and he kind of redefined himself as a real specialist penalty killer, and that was great to see. And yeah, he's certainly a great Panther amongst many.
Yeah, I mean, mine's Simon for the record, but yeah, Randall also a great legend as well for the Panthers. Thanks for the moment, Adam.
Okay.
We're now going to bring Paul in. We're going to look at the game at the weekend, which was the away game at Hull. Good start for Panthers, 4-2 win. Never an easy place to go. Paul, I'll start with you. What do you think?
Well, I thought we left it late, but you know, some good goals, some good work. I mean, it's the early season, so you know there's still a few rough edges. A lot of the people are playing on instinct. I mean, you got Ling and Werner who hadn't even trained with the team by that point. So, but at the end of the day, a win's a win.
Yeah,
to use a cliche.
Did you actually get to see the disallowed goal at all?
I did. Yeah. It's a bit difficult to say from that sort of angle, but Kluche certainly looked like he was close.
I mean, I must admit, from when I watched it myself, I wasn't too sure. I didn't think there was a lot wrong with it. I think if Panthers had scored that goal, we'd all be screaming blue murder.
That's being a hockey fan, though, isn't it, Jono? You know,
Wow.
fan of any sport. Fan of any sport. But there's two referees on the ice, so one of them must have got it right.
Well, we'll come on to that later. So, Adam, as you say, Hull's not an easy place to go. So, how pleased were you when you found out we'd won the game?
Oh yeah, I mean a win's a win. Just to kind of re-emphasise what Paul was saying there. Early on in the season, obviously the guys are still getting to know each other, getting used to the systems, learning about where everyone else is on the ice. So to come away from Hull with 2 points, I think is a great start to get the Challenge Cup campaign off the ground with. Not an easy place to go and get 2 points, whether it's in the league or the Challenge Cup. So. Yeah, it's a great start. So we're up and running, we're on the board, and hopefully it's the start of another long and successful Challenge Cup campaign.
And I think after the Asiago games last week, it was also good to see Matt Francis continue his form from last weekend, scoring 2 goals. What do you think of Francis so far?
Fantastic. I mean, last year is probably the star import, I think, for me. I think it would be fair to say a lot of people probably didn't have great expectations of Matt Francis because he was a bit of an unknown character, but as the season went on, he proved to be an absolutely vital import and a vital member of the roster. So this season, I hope he goes from strength to strength and carries on from where he left off last year.
Brilliant. Thanks for the moment. Of course, the next night, Panthers were back home at the NIC for the first game of the Elite League season against Dundee Stars. We spoke to some fans for their reaction after the game. Okay, we're in Bolero Square with game has just finished. A great 5-1 victory for Panthers, and with Smokey here. This is your nickname, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm Dave. I'm Smokey P87 on Twitter. And
so, what do you think of the game?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a little bit disconcerting when Stars went ahead, but then again, we have a great history of former players coming here and scoring. I mean, you look at Galbraith, you look at other players, and they're the ones who get the goals in, and it's typical Savvy gets the first one in. So it was quite impressive. But then we came back strongly. I thought more in the second period, and then.
Any particular players impress you, particularly the new ones?
I've got to say, David Ling. He was there. He's short, he's stocky, he's feisty. He took a great bit of chirping on the Dundee on the Dundee keeper, especially when he took that drink out of the goal right at the end. And I've got to give Rappel his credit. He did some fantastic saves for the Stars, and he's a decent. I think this is his first year in the Elite League.
Yes,
well.
It is. Yeah.
So he was pretty good. But I've got to say, I'm impressed with Bruce Graham. He's massive. I mean, he reminds me of Hoffman, Mike Hoffman. He's about the same build, same size, same height, isn't he? And Matt Francis solid as always. I don't think he scored today, but I think he got a hat trick last week against.
Hat trick and a couple of goals last night.
Did he?
As well.
Right. I didn't manage to get the whole game, but there's that. And I think Beckett was in there a bit, and Gullivan. You got Gallivant. Yeah, he got a goal last night, didn't he? As well, I think, from what I remember. So I think it was just. I mean, I'm just waiting for the team to gel together. Really, to be honest, I think you've got the bits there, but we're still waiting for Benedict to turn up. Tuma's off ill still, and so that's my.
Okay, so overall, quite impressed.
Yeah, quite impressed with it. I'll reserve judgment until next weekend, the doubleheader against Belfast. Hopefully, we won't have any last 7 seconds upset us last year in the doubleheader we had against them. But fingers crossed, it should be a good one.
Okay, thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of the season.
You too. Take care.
I'm with my friend Greg Crooks, who was with us last week, but only got 6 seconds. So we thought we'd give him a little bit longer this week. Greg, what do you think of David Ling?
Oh, brilliant, class above. When you look at both goals that he took, I think he must have took it round the whole of their defence for his first one, and the second one, just a brilliant little deke. I think he only moved his head and his hips and took it round and just put it straight away. Brilliant.
What do you think of his feistiness, though? Because there was a few digs going in after the whistle that were quite sneaky.
I thought they were amazing. That's exactly the sort of player that I think Panthers have been missing for the last couple of seasons. I think we used to have Mike Rees and we had Bruce Richardson, and now Ling's come in and is taking sips out of the goalie's water bottle, is getting in the goalie's face, is throwing elbows around, and it's exactly what I want to see from a game. It makes it exciting.
So you're quite happy with him then? I think that's fair to say.
Oh yeah, favourite player.
How do you think other teams' fans are going to see him by the end of the season if he carries on these little tricks?
I think they're going to hate him. They're going to want to see him beat up. They're going to be wanting to send in their Olsons and their Didier Metis after him, and they're going to try and throw him off. But a guy like that, he's played in the NHL. He's played at the top level. That's his game. He's going to be used to it. I don't think anyone's going to be able to really push him off doing it. If he gets beat up in the process, he gets beat up in the process. But
I mean, he's probably the best player in this league anyway, looking at his CV, so you can't really see many players being able to match him.
CV-wise, I mean, you know, it is NHL. I mean, it's Greg Stewart at Belfast. He's NHL, ex-NHL. There's not many others really that are going to have a, you know, CV, calibre and history that he's got.
Oh, cheers, Greg. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, Jono.
So they're the views of Greg and Dave there, our guests from after the game on Sunday. Paul, I'm going to come to you first. David Ling was mentioned quite a lot by the guys there. What do you think of him?
I think he's great. I mean, it's no surprise that people are talking about him. I think they're going to be talking about him all season long.
Yeah, I mean, I was very, very impressed, especially both goals. I thought he took them both brilliantly.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, especially the second reminded me of the one Fox scored against Cardiff first home game last season, where he sort of trips through seemed like the whole team twice and just put it past the keeper. But I think there's a lot more to David Ling than just his goals.
Yeah, there certainly is, and there was one or two antics that he got up to on Sunday afternoon. What did you particularly think of his quenching his thirst with the netminder's water bottle?
It's a long way back to the bench. The man needed a drink, but yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be the sort of player that opposition fans will hate, but they'd want on his team, and I think that's the best compliment you can pay anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think I made the prediction on Sunday to a few people. I think he's going to be the most hated player in this league by Christmas. But hey, he plays for us, so quite frankly, who cares, to paraphrase Barry Davis. Adam, you weren't at the game on Sunday, but obviously you've heard a lot about it. What are your overall impressions?
Well, again, similar to the Hull game, it was a win, and it was good to get the campaign off to a victorious start. So I guess some of our imports were playing in the arena for the first time. I know many of them probably played the previous week against Asiago, but nice for them to play in front of the home crowd. A nice win against Dundee to get us off and running, and hopefully it's the first of many more wins this season.
Okay, going to move on to other results in the Elite League now, and quite a few strange ones over the weekend. A lot of very close games, and I suppose this is what people wanted initially from the conference system. I mean, a long way to go, I know. It was only the first weekend of the season, but, you know, what are your thoughts on some of the other games that took place at the weekend?
Well, I think the team that stands out really has got to be Brayhead. They beat Belfast, one of everybody's tips for the league on the Saturday, and then lose to a team that a lot of people have said are going to come last on Sunday. You know, losing to Edinburgh. It's amazing, really. I mean, yeah, it is start the season. I know that Brayhead had got players missing, but it's not what you expect.
It isn't indeed, and our nearest and dearest up the road, splitting a series with Cardiff. Away wins for both teams. What do you think to that?
Yeah, again, I just think it's going to show how close the league's going to be this year, and I think the Southern Conference in particular looks really, really strong, and I fully expect teams to be taking points off each other in each other's barns all season. I just think that at the end of the season it's going to be very, very close, not many points between the top teams at all.
And perhaps, to be fair, one of the most surprising set of results from the weekend, given how short bench they are, was Coventry winning both games.
It was. I mean, they left both of them very late, but say with the problems they've got at the moment with losing Leeb, Danton, and Domish, it's all all credit to them. Don't like saying it, but it is.
Adam, do you think Coventry will be able to continue on a winning run, or do you think that the lack of bodies are going to tell in the end?
Depends how disciplined they stay, really, or ill-disciplined, I guess, is probably more to the point. If they can keep bodies in the roster, then that should be great, and I think Coventry will probably be one of the stronger teams in the league this season. We don't know what's going to happen with Danton, but they have got a lot of quality on that roster, so you'd expect them to be up there at the end of the season. Whether they've got enough to maybe go all the way, I'm not so sure. I think maybe the discipline aspect might come back and and bite them in the proverbial from time to time. But it'll be certainly a fun team to watch, I think, when they come into the NIC this season for the league games.
Okay. Right, thanks for now, guys. One of the big announcements last week was that the Elite League have decided to go with a 4-man official system for standalone Challenge Cup games with 2 referees and 2 linesmen. Adam, this has been mooted for quite a while, but what are your thoughts?
I'm really supportive of the move. I think that it's a great move to make by the Elite League. I think it's a brave one, obviously. You think about how quick ice hockey's become in this country over the last 10-15 years, and the time that I've spent watching ice hockey in this country, and I feel a bit for the officials, to be honest, because the game's got quicker, but obviously we've still maintained that same number of officials. So maybe an extra pair of eyes on the ice might cut down on some of the sneaky stuff that goes on off the play, and mean that maybe some of the more skilled players that are out there who might be looking to come to the Elite League want to come here. I mean, it's no coincidence that the best leagues in the world use a 4-man officiating system, and I think following in their footsteps, so the NHL obviously, I think the KHL have it, and I think the DEL have it as well in Germany. I think that it's a positive thing. It gives the better players the freedom and the knowledge that they can go out and they can play with relative freedom and flexibility and show the crowds the skills that they've got.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I'm pretty supportive of it myself. I think one of the most frustrating things as an ice hockey fan is when those sneaky things that happen behind the play don't get caught. Obviously, the referee's only got 1 pair of eyes and he hasn't got them in the back of his head. This sort of gives the referee eyes in the back of his head and another pair of eyes. But Paul, you think it's a good and a bad decision, don't you?
I do, but then I like the sneaky bits. So, no, I think in the long term it will be a good idea. Because it will bring people through, but my only worry is that it's going to bring people who might not be ready yet through faster than would have previously have happened.
But surely giving them that experience and that exposure, yes, they'll make mistakes, but it'll make them better officials in the long run.
Oh, it will. And I say in the long run it's a good idea, but can you imagine when an inexperienced referee gives a goal like that Cloutier one on Saturday night? If that had been given, that could have changed the whole game.
Yeah, very good point. Student, what do you think?
What? 2 Carsons?
On to the weekend. Panthers play Belfast on Saturday and Sunday at the NIC. But last Sunday we were lucky enough to bump into Panthers assistant coach Rick Strachan. Here's what he had to say. Delighted to say I've got Rick Strachan with me. Rick, got to be happy with the weekend?
Yeah, great results. Tough game in Hull on Saturday night, and the boys performed, very well, short-staffed. And tonight we came out, started slowly, but we got stronger and stronger, and convincingly 5-1 victory.
You say we were short-staffed. So what's the news on Benedict at the moment? How long is it likely before he's going to be coming in?
We got to ask the government that one. Hey, it's a government question. The visa's been applied for, and it's been a long time, and for whatever reason, it's just slow getting to him. So as soon as he gets it, he'll get here.
Yeah. Looking ahead to the weekend, obviously a tough weekend with 2 home games against Belfast. How do you see them going, especially with the guys having another week's worth of training behind them?
Well, you got to remember Wernick and Ling haven't trained with us. They just got in Friday afternoon and did a great job this weekend. So 5 days of practice will make them they'll match fit. They'll know our systems. They'll know their line mates, and it'll be an interesting weekend. And Belfast has got a great team, and we think we got a great team, and it'll be a great weekend of hockey.
Yeah. So you say message to the fans is get yourself down for that one.
Everybody get down. It's early in the season to have a great derby, and every game we played against Belfast last year was a 1-goal game, except for maybe the Challenge Cup final. But we won't mention that. But no, every game was tight, and I expect 2 great hockey games.
Great, thanks, Rick. Good luck for the rest of the season. So those are the thoughts of Rick Strachan there. Adam, what are your expectations for the weekend?
Well, like every other Panthers fan, I think 4 points would be fantastic against Belfast, because Belfast are a really fancied team. They've really stocked up on talent. I think if we can get 4 points this weekend, I know it's early in the season and you obviously don't win or lose the title in the first weekend really, but I think it'd be a really good barometer to see how the Panthers are going to fare over this coming season.
Yeah, and of course, hopefully Brandon Benedict will be in for the weekend. Paul, do you think he'll make a lot of a difference to the team?
Definitely. The things he brings, the drive, the energy, the skill, it's what we need.
Brilliant. So, of course, NIC, Saturday and Sunday. Get down there, probably be a big crowd. It'll be well worth it. I'm sure you won't regret it. Well, I'd like to thank Adam, I'd like to thank Paul for joining us again this week. That's it for this week. Next week we'll be looking back at the Belfast weekend and also looking ahead to the first meeting of the weekend with the Sheffield Steelers, including the return to the NIC of former captain Danny Myers. Till next week, goodbye. Victory against Dundee and a fantastic performance by David Ling. Student, what do you think?
He's no Jeff Hutchins, is he?